Here we have the brash American magician, and here we've got the Cambridge British mathematician, and we're playing on that, but really we're not that different at all.
Okay. This is the villain talk right before the end monologue. We're not so different, you and I. So I guess it was 11 years ago that the first time we met was you calling me out on Twitter.
Yeah.
No, on YouTube for having my math wrong. I did an episode where we were talking about the statistical probability of what sounds like a rare event being very, very common. And I stated it as being over 50%. And that was just by a trial, like a Monte Carlo, just trying it for myself. And then you ran the numbers, and I'll never forget. It was like,
today I'll be responding to a video by Scam School that, according to my calculations, will involve nearly 92% less hair gel.
Yeah, how rude.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great.
I said, I'm not having that. Someone's wrong on the internet.
The best part was, as we came up to Pi Day of that year, March 14th, you fooled me very badly. And if anybody at home hasn't already seen this, it is a brilliant application of a universal principle. Here, do it for me.
Am I going to do it for you?
Yeah, sure.
So you've got your calculator, fantastic. What I want you to do is we're going to create a big number, something between 1 million and 1 billion, all right, a big number.
Okay.
And what I'm going to ask you to do is multiply single digit numbers together. So it might be 2 times 3 times 7 times 9, keep going until you get something that's really big. Something between 1 million or 1 billion. So 8 digits, 6, 7, 8 digits, 9 digits.
Here we go. Yeah, no, I got 8 digits.
You got, okay, an 8-digit number. Okay, so I don't want to know what the number is,
right?
But I want you to pick one of those digits in that number as your secret digit. So you pick that, you keep that to yourself.
Got it.
So that means there are 7 digits you haven't picked there. I want you to give me the remaining 7 digits in any order you want.
Okay, 2, 7, 0, 0, 7, 2, 1.
Okay, and so now you've got your secret number, and I want you to transmit that number to me psychically. I think your secret number is the 8.
Yes, oh, it's so good. Okay, and the diabolical part of this is that as a magician, I was familiar with more clumsy versions of this trick, but that the genius of your version of this is that ability to just tell people, multiply whatever numbers you want. Now, that is a bold move because what we're hoping for...
Yeah, is a multiple of 9. So we're hoping we're going to get a multiple of 9 here, which means I'm banking on you either multiplying by 9, which means it will be automatically a multiple of 9.
Right.
Or by multiplying 3 times 3 or 3 times 6. I tell people, and try to randomize, make it difficult for me, and randomize your numbers. So to stop people going 2 times 2 times 2 times 2.
Right, and I think that people pick up on that, right? If you say the more random your numbers, the more impressive this is going to be. Because then it's like if they're the ones who screw it up if they go 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2.
So that's a lovely thing to say. But then, when you have a multiple of 9, the trick to this is if you add up the digits, we should have a multiple of 9.
Right, so in this case, we are assuming that it adds up to 9, and the only edge cases are if it comes up and it is a multiple of 9.
Right, so if you've chosen a 0 or a 9,
right,
I can't tell if it's a 0 or a 9.
Right.
Because both those answers would give me a multiple of 9 when I've done this digit sum. So then that's when you start to have to use your magician skills there.
Yeah, well, and what I usually do is I'll say like, oh man, I feel like it's either a 0 or a 9, and then I'm acting like I'm not looking at them, very much looking at them. I'm like, I feel like it's a 0 or a 9, because if it is a 0, by the time 0 comes out of your mouth, you're gonna see some kind of reaction, or a 0 or a 9. And then at that point, you've peed on both answers.
The funny way to do it, though, the one that I like, is to think, oh, okay, I'm not sure what it is. Are you sure you're transmitting your number? Because it feels like you're thinking of nothing.
Oh, and so if they're thinking of 0, they'll give some kind of tell.
They giggle.
Oh, that's great.
They say, no, I'm really concentrating. You go, oh, okay. I think it's 9.
Oh, that's great. That's another way to land.
And then we did.
Your genius friends, programming wizards,
absolutely.
put together a Python script. We got whitelisted by Twitter, so that we were able to send out thousands of DMs. Basically, we did a Twitter-based magic trick, which I don't know that anybody's done.
Yeah, well, I remember you promoting it. It's like going to be the biggest online
that sounds like
magic trick. Oh, I was up for that. I thought that sounded good.
Yeah.
We ran it for a couple of years until Twitter kicked us off.
Yeah, that also sounds accurate. So at that time, I knew you. You were at Cambridge at the
Yeah.
time. Are you still at Cambridge?
I'm actually not at Cambridge anymore, no.
You're a free agent.
I am, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
in my mind, Dr. James Grime, the mathematician from Cambridge, and then it must have been like a couple of years later, it was, I knew your SingingBanana channel, but then all of a sudden seeing you on Numberphile was such an unexpected treat. How did that come to pass?
Oh, right. So I was making maths videos myself on my own personal channel, the SingingBanana channel, which is just me at home.
Sure.
It's very low tech, it's just me at home. But the guy who makes Numberphile, he was making videos about chemistry and physics. And as a fan, I contacted him. If you ever make a maths channel.
There are a lot of people who ask me for advice when it comes to podcasting, and my advice is usually start by recording most podcasts, if they have like a mail segment or whatever, then instead of just typing them an email, record yourself for 1 minute, and now you're on the podcast, and just keep showing up, and then at some point you become a guest, and at some point you're on the show.
It was useful that I had videos there to say I'm not
I'm
just
this guy.
I'm this guy. I'm not just some crazy guy. I'm this
Yeah.
guy. Yeah. So I'm really glad. I don't know if you were watching Numberphile anyway, or did I tell you
No,
about it?
as a matter of fact, as it got more successful, and of course, my YouTube viewing habits, I'm sure, increased the likelihood of a recommendation of Numberphile. But then I'm just like, oh my God, it's Dr. James Grime.
And I feel like we probably have an overlap of viewership.
A little bit. Well, and we were talking recently about how it really is kind of two sides of the same coin. The same thing that is a curiosity in the math world becomes a hinge upon which you hook a deception in the magic world. And of course, like Martin Gardner was very much an inspiration for me. In fact, one of my most precious memories was getting to meet him before he passed. It was fantastic. But that ability to educate while giving the novelty of deceit has been my driving force. For you, is it different? Do you feel like you want to steer clear of magic or lean into it, or?
I mean, I think the philosophy is almost the same. I'm trying to get people interested in maths. I'm picking curious facts, things that I think will amuse you, and presenting it as a magic trick is actually something to keep in mind. So you want them to be surprised. Now I'm going to say, surprised? Oh, right. How did I do that?
Right.
Now I will explain how to do it.
Right.
Because my point is education.
Right. Teller once wrote in a letter to me, he said, the heart of all good magic is surprise. Put 2 and 2 in front of me, convince me it's 5, then reveal the truth 4. And I love that phrasing of it. Convince me of something untrue and then reveal the truth of it, which is the opposite of what you think of a magic trick. You normally think of push the deception and that's the end.
Yeah.
Either way, we are both seeking that aha transformation of that novel surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I even hope that I get 2 bites of that. I want you to, first of all, I'll show you the thing.
Right.
I want you to be surprised. How's he doing that? I don't know. And then when I've shown you how it's done, I want you to go, that's a second aha.
And much like the Pi Day magic trick, you reveal a fundamental truth that is much more interesting than I was able to guess your secret number. Yeah. You reveal that a multiple of 9 always has the digits add up to a multiple of 9. That to me, I remember Penn Jillette once said that if the method is more interesting than the trick, you should definitely reveal the method. If it's so elegant and so beautiful.
So you don't feel like I'm the bad guy here. If I did a mathematical magic thing and I want to be an educational person.
Are you kidding me? No. I look at magic as it's your job to swoop into a village and be the best chess player in town. Now, there are different philosophies of how you can accomplish that. One philosophy is you can study all the greatest chess games, you can learn all the book openings, you can learn the fundamentals and all that stuff, and then you will be the best chess player in town. There's another subsection in the magic world that says, it'd be easier as if nobody in the village knew the rules to chess, and you could automatically be the winner. So we'd appreciate it if everybody didn't tell the villagers how to play chess. I'm not a fan of that philosophy.
I mean, it is the same thing with what you're doing with Scam Nation. I think it's the same sort of thing that I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's I dress it up as scamming and underhandedness, but really my hope is to teach critical thinking skills, because I think there is a transformative difference between somebody saying, there, I fooled you, now you know you could be fooled. That's not helpful. But handing you the tools and saying, no, I need you to figure out how to fool these people. And then once you learn to think as a deceiver, I think that's an important thing.
I think on the surface, it looks like we're two different things, right?
Yeah, we're not. We're the same person.
Right.
This is the part where we reveal that we're twin brothers.
Because when we were doing Pi Day Magic, I think part of the sell was, here we have the brash American magician, and here we've got the Cambridge British mathematician, and we're playing on that, but really we're not that different at all.
Okay. This is the villain talk right before the end monologue. We're not so different, you and I.
Citizen, all websites are mandatory. Regulation BWD 495 permits discounts on regulation domains. This is within your rights. Freedom and liberty are not. Assimilate with the grid by getting a .com or .net, the only reliable websites. It is of great importance. Security code Scam School is used for 15% off your mandatory website. www.domain.com. Thank you and good day.
Most people don't know, I guess you would call it your day job, is to tour giving the Enigma Talk. What's the elevator pitch on this?
So I travel the UK and the world, and I give talks about mathematics. In particular, I talk about the history and maths of code breaking, which is cool because it's code breaking and it's secrets and spies, with an original Enigma machine as well.
I didn't want to ask before, but like you have in your possession an actual Enigma encoding device.
Yes, on loan, let's say. Yes, and so you can see the original thing, and it is an original. So it's not a copy, it's not a replica. It's an original Enigma machine. I talk about that story, Alan Turing, that story. And the idea is to inspire people, motivate people in studying maths.
So for the uninitiated, the Enigma was an encryption machine that the Nazis used during World War II. The story, and it's just so that it makes me not want to believe it, but the story is that part of the decryption of it was, you know what I bet they end most of their messages with is Heil Hitler. And so if you assume that, then you retroactively begin to figure out how the thing works. Is there anything to that?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It is?
Yeah, it's great,
oh my gosh!
It's great.
It was such a sweet, perfect story. I assumed it had to be fake.
I know, it's so good. The whole irony that you're using Heil Hitler, that at the end of a message, Heil Hitler, and you can use that. Now, if I can work the correct position for Enigma to make that true, then you know the day's setting. And there were other things they used as well, and the more practical things. They used weather reports and things like that, because that was every day you would have weather.
Oh, so if it's cloudy, then the odds are somewhere in here is the words cloudy.
Well, more than that, the thing was a standard letter. It was a standard format.
Oh, yeah. So it probably began with Dear So-and-so.
Yeah, well, weather report.
Oh, yeah. Are you able to tell the story of how you came into possession or temporary stewardship of an Enigma?
That's true. I was a research mathematician, an academic mathematician. I wanted to do public work, and Cambridge had the Enigma machine on loan to them, so they needed someone to show it off, and, well, they let me do that. I said, yes, please.
Better. Yeah.
Yes, please, I'll do that. So that was exactly what I wanted to be doing. And in fact, I wasn't the Enigma expert. Turns out that when I looked into it, the maths of Enigma and how it was broken is the maths I was doing anyway.
Oh, that's great.
But I didn't know that when I took the job. So that was just a coincidence.
Hold on. So what's that moment when you realize, like, oh my God, this is what I'm an expert in?
So that's the power of education, people. So that's all those years of training and study. I had to learn about how Enigma was broken. I had a book, and I went, this I know. Oh, yeah, yep. And I could pick that up in a day.
Most of your audiences, do they tend to be full-on lay people, or I assume mostly math educated, or how do you thread that needle?
So let's say if I'm doing the videos, I'm imagining talking to a 17-year-old.
Okay.
So it's someone who's done school maths, they haven't done university maths yet. Now, so that sort of age means that bright younger people can watch it, and if they don't follow it all, even that they've seen that that's a thing that exists, that's nice for them.
Right.
People who don't do maths but might be nerdy and interested in maths, adults, general audiences, are in the same position as that sort of teenager that I'm thinking of.
Sure, boy, and back to what you said, like it's the same thing with Scam Nation, because I want to certainly teach something new to somebody who is just getting into magic, or maybe even a non-magician. But my hope is that even if you're a touring professional, that you're like, oh, that's a clever subtlety that I didn't know up until this particular video.
And in my subject, and it must be true for yours, maths is a very broad subject. And so what I do now, I guess what I specialise in is learning things in a very broad sense, rather than as an academic.
Right.
I had to learn something very narrow and very deep. For what I do now is I tell stories that even mathematicians probably don't know, because there's so many stories in maths. Because it's a 2,000-year subject.
Well, you write a story, then you learn how to tell it effectively. And the nice thing about being on tour is that you get that Groundhog Day experience of constantly polishing it. Like, this time I'm going to get it perfect, or whatever. Are you at a place now where you want to tell another story, or do you have another? Because I would imagine there are universities that are like, come back when you got a new story.
Right. So I've got 2 strings to my bow. That's
Yeah, no, that's true.
That's not a lot of strings.
You're describing a harp, a very bad harp with 2 strings.
But so yes, I have my polished talks, which get better, and I look at the audience, and I look them in the eye, and I go, okay, you're not going to get that. So even I can be working on the level of tone of voice.
Oh, sure. There would be a time I would start a show, and I would think, that one line, I'm going to nail that one line. I'm going to wait a half second longer before the punchline. And yes, the rest of the hour-long plus show was however it goes. But like, that's all I cared about.
We are the same person. It's so weird that our experiences are so similar. And then this other string to the bow is the stuff that I'm doing on YouTube.
Right.
Which is where I get to do other things. So I get to practice different material, other things. So I don't get bored because I have those 2 sides of what I do.
Well, and it's a bit like when you're doing the YouTube stuff, you have the advantage of editing after the fact and cleaning up. Whereas when you're live, you've got to have everything polished and figured out.
Right. Roll with it if it goes wrong. And
and it is remarkable how much new material you get to not only discover for yourself as you do research for the YouTube stuff, but now you have an army of fans who I assume are sending in, hey, are you familiar with this? Or I learned about this.
Yes. So that feeds into itself.
Yeah. What is the effect where in any random number the most likely digit will be, the first digit will be 1, 2, or 3?
Yes. So that's Benford's law.
Benford's law. That's what it was.
So there's particular things, right? So it's not just uniformly random numbers, but it's numbers that have grown naturally.
Right.
So it might
like
be
population size.
Population size. Length of rivers.
Mass of a planet. Or something that has to start at 0 and grow.
Yeah.
We used Wolfram Alpha, where we would try to come up with totally random stuff, and I encouraged 2 people to come up with a random number, and then I multiplied the 2, figuring that would skew it harder towards the first digit being 1.
You're correct. It turns out that if you take data and add it and multiply it and do lots of stuff to it, the final answer will start with a 1 30% of the time.
Yeah. There was another one that I read about it as a mathematical idea, and we figured out a way to make it a scam. For example, imagine this table here, and you have toothpicks, and the toothpick is exactly the width of these parallel lines. And the question was, looking at it, you would imagine that the odds of just dropping a toothpick randomly, whether it would intersect a line or not intersect a line, most people figured it wouldn't intersect, but instead it was much more likely that it would intersect, and I think we set it up as a scam. But to me, the real magic, that fundamental truth that we got to reveal, and you'll know this, you'll explain this to me better than I remember. I want to say that if you did an infinite number of drops, the ratio of number of times the toothpick would intersect a line was like 2 divided by pi. So theoretically, you could calculate pi purely by just watching the trend line as you drop millions and millions of needles. That to me feels like the same kind of magic when you find out that sunflower seeds have numbers of rows that correspond to the Fibonacci sequence. Yeah. Man, all right, we're just gonna nerd out and talk math for the rest of this.
Excellent.
If there's anything you want to share, what would you love to point people towards?
I guess I point them to my YouTube, but I've pointed people to my YouTube before.
Yeah.
They're probably already subscribed. In 12 years of YouTube, I have never said like and subscribe.
Oh, until now.
I've never said it.
We have a friend of ours who was babysitting a kid, and so he gets the kid tucked in, and he's like, okay, good night, and then he goes to leave, and the kid goes, like and subscribe, and he pauses, he's like, wait, sorry, what was that? And the kid was like, I don't know, 5, and they're like, well, why did you say like and subscribe? And you're like, oh, doesn't that mean goodbye? Because
hit that bell
at the end of every video, that's what people say. It's not goodbye.
Tell you what.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a treat.
Okay.
Right. I'll let you sign off with my sign-off line. Do you know what my sign-off line is?
What?
I'm going to have to remind you this.
What is it?
It's if you're happy, thanks for watching. That's my sign-off line.
If you're happy.
If you have been.
If you have been
watching.
If you have.
Try and do it with an accent.
If you have been, thanks for watching. Good day, mate. That's wrong. Hello, governor.
You've slipped. You've slipped.